Hello, everyone. You are watching Out of the Box podcast. I'm your host, Jim Andre, and here's my co host, Bradley Powers. Now, Bradley's usually in charge of the booking of the guests, so explain today's situation, if you will, Bradley.
Well, guest, our experiencer, our guest is an experiencer, is experiencing an experience where he may have been abducted. We have to consider all possibilities here. So let's assume our guest has been abducted. We have a replacement. Daisy 10 Ponies, also known as Daisy Leeton, is joining us very shortly. I'd like to say hello to Disgusting Madman and Pankaj. Pleasure to have you here. And also, Jim, you said I was your co-host. I thought you said this was our show.
Say that again.
I thought you said this was our show.
Well, what did I say anything different?
Yeah, you said co-host.
Oh, well, you are. I'm your co-host. You're my co-host.
Okay, all right.
There's two hosts.
All right. We can both be hosts, but yeah,
we're both hosts.
No, I'm just winding you up a little bit, really. Okay, right. So today we'll be discussing a variety of topics like paranormal phenomena, extraterrestrials, spirituality, bit of religion. Is it all real? Are we delusional? Hi there, Facebook user. Please introduce yourself.
I think most are delusional.
Wow. What's
Rob
that all
Brannum. Hey, I like that name, Rob Brannum. Evening, Rob. And we have a viewer, Facebook user from Australia. Hello, Australia.
I can't believe that. I just see Bradley's Angels and now it's disappeared. How'd that work out? What? And that.
So Daisy is actually an active contactee herself. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Bradley's Angels. There you go. And that is us shared into Messenger. Messenger is now complete, but I'm just going to amend the introduction. Okay. So while I'm amending the introduction, Jim, we can talk about divinity. Now, we all know that divinity is real. What we don't know is who is divine. Is God divine? Well, that's debatable, isn't it? Are angels divine? Angels are celestial. Are they divine? Yes, angels are divine. And it's knowing what is divine. Hi there, Daisy. Daisy 10 Ponies is in the house. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And Rob Random is with us. Pankaj, Disgusting Madman, and Facebook user. And they're all saying, hello, Jim and Bradley. Well, Daisy is here as well. And while I'm sharing the show, we're going to discuss divinity. Now, Jim says divinity doesn't exist, and I say, yes, it does. Just because he doesn't know someone divine doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means that he is not in the know.
All right,
Celestial angels are divine.
Give me an example of divinity.
Yeah, angel.
Wait, hold on. Before humans even existed, the angels bickered amongst themselves. Some were thrown out of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
There's no divinity there, and they're angels.
No, that's not true. I think 600 angels, or no, 200 angels left, and the rest of the angels were divine.
Yeah, no, they're not.
I believe in a divine chaos, that things just play out the way they're supposed to, because I believe that there's a divine mind that is.
All right, so then everything that happens in the random, unforgiving, chaotic realm is meant to happen. So no matter what happens, if you view it as being right or wrong, good or evil, it's still divine. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. There's a plan. There's a structure that allows us to be free enough to experience our own life paths still.
Yeah, free enough for us to suffer, right?
We are suffering, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think that I don't think that things like this are necessarily categorized as good or evil. Because like you say, Jim, the universe just is, and the universe does what it does.
Right.
And I do believe that. And but I think there's a mind in it. I think that there's a path.
Well, there's many minds in it. There's consciousness. There's consciousness. That's what the awareness is.
Yeah, I think that the divinity is the divine mind, basically.
Well, yeah, but when I talk about divinity, I'm talking about religion. Like
Daisy.
Wait a minute. They depict the good and loving God. They depict the good and loving God as being divine.
Yes.
But yet, wait a minute. But yet, he openly admits that he's killed millions of his children by flood. Right?
Yep.
Going against one of the very 10 commandments that he professes that you shouldn't do. Right? If you sin, you'll be condemned to eternal damnation throughout eternity. So where's the divinity in that?
I don't believe the divinity exists in that. I think
his actions are going against what he stands for.
Yes, and that's
it's
a myth, in my opinion.
I'm introducing you as an alien contactee. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And also, Dedrick Hilton will be having a conference with me and you later on, Jim. Okay, after the show.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's all good news. Onwards and upwards.
I think there is the God depicted in the Bible. I think he might. Is he a deity? I'm not sure, but I don't think he's our source.
He's an energy.
Our source is.
God
I think our source is female. Actually, it's a female energy, and it's the Holy Spirit.
It's neither male or female. It's an energy.
Some people think that too. Yep.
It's an energy.
The prime creator source is neither a male, neither a female. Yet it is both masculine and feminine. It's also not empathic. However, karma is released from the prime creator source. You create your own karma. If you manifest positive energy, then karma shall be reflected from the prime creator source as positive energy threefold. If you emit negative energy, the prime creator source will reflect negative energy upon you threefold. Okay.
I sort of believe in karma.
I just know.
I from being a contactee, I get lots of information that, we're at a point where we have experienced creators. We've lived and died in the sources realm. And now we're given life again by entities like Enki. Enki is one that.
All right. I mean, as far as creating, we are creators within our own right. We have our minds, we think, we have imaginations, right? We have ideas. And when we pursue them ideas, they become reality with all the technology we have. So we create wait a minute, let me finish. We create ourselves, right? So my point is, there's a source of energy that makes all things possible. That's the essence, right? So you have the energy, your consciousness for awareness, and your physical biological body to complete the combination to experience existence.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Go on. Sorry, Jim.
Go ahead.
What I want to say, Jim, is
I don't want you to hurt
Rob,
yourself.
Thank you. I am hurting myself. I'm not saying it. Rob Random says we can all be divine. It's a choice. Thank you for that, Rob Random, because that, my friend, is the right answer.
Well, that's like saying that we can all never sin, and there ain't one person that's never sinned. The bar set for sinning is set so high that there isn't one man or woman that walked the face of the earth that never sinned. So where does divinity play a role in that? Barring a child or an infant that's innocent, that doesn't know any better. There's no person alive that's never sinned. So As soon as you commit your first sin, that throws the divinity right out the window.
I don't really believe in sin. I don't really believe that our universe is held up in good and evil. I think that's a human
Well,
construct.
I agree with you there, because the only place that good and evil, right or wrong, exists is within the human psyche.
Within, yeah, absolutely.
All other species get along fine without it. Okay.
Well, and
now you can have a colony of billions of ants in one colony, get along perfect, no friction, like a well-oiled machine with a brain 1/1,000,000th the size of man's. What's man's excuse?
You
I
can
don't see that.
strive
I
to
don't
be
think we're
divine.
that bad.
Strive.
I don't think the human species is the enemy. I think
We're our own enemy. We're our own enemy. Listen,
you can strive to be divine and strive to be Christ-like.
I feel like humans are inherently good.
Yeah, they're inherently good, but that's not going to be a good outcome. Just because most think to be good, you have them very few that are throwing everything out of whack. And those that are good,
actually human.
Those that are good are just being passive about it. So they're just as much to blame as the 1%.
Yes, the being passive, and that's taken to an extreme. I think we need to keep our power within us, but you have to display that sometimes.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think of us as being an intelligent species?
I do.
You do?
I do. I think we're intuitive.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So are animals. Animals are more intuitive than we are. So anyway, here's the point I'm trying to make. A cow grazing in a field is probably more than likely satisfied by doing just that, grazing in a field. But man, due to his higher level of intelligence, distorts the simplicity of nature and will never truly be satisfied till he self-annihilates. And that's the path we're taking right now.
Well, I think we're seekers. I think all of us have a fire within us that we have to find our space in this divine plan.
All right. First of all, we have no one to compete against but ourselves, no one to fear but ourselves. Then we go on to build devastating weapons to protect us from none other than ourselves. What kind of intelligence is that?
Well, I believe that there's other things at play here. I think there are other species that are trying to upset the balance of Earth, and they take a few, call them war pigs. They take a few and they cause death and destruction and everything. I'm plagued by other things. I know that there are other things messing around in Earth business.
Well, the bottom line is we're living in a chaotic, random, unforgiving realm, and we can't change that. It'll always be like that.
Yeah.
You've got natural chaos with it.
That's law of the land.
Right. You've got natural chaos within nature itself in the form of natural disasters, right? Now, if a tsunami wipes out 250,000 people at one time, do you think the universe or nature cares in any way or feels guilty in a way?
Not feels guilty. No.
Oh, all right. See, nature need not a creator, for nature has a way of creating, producing, reproducing, sustaining, destroying, and rejuvenating itself.
And I think that's the Holy Spirit.
It's all natural. Even we're natural, even though we don't want to admit it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely we are. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. Sherry Brett is in the house as Nightbot. Thank you for joining us. And yes, we are intelligent. However, we are not all intelligent. You can't generalize and say we are not intelligent, because actually we are in this studio intelligent.
Well, yeah, but when you talk about humanity, you're talking about humanity as a whole, not in bits and pieces.
I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
What have you been seeing and reading about the AI that's taking over everything, like the ChatGPT and the Midjourney and all these computers trained to think as a human? I'm really fascinated in it. I think it could be the end of the world, but I don't know. What do you think about that, about AI? And like,
Well, I don't know. How would
like
you?
Elon Musk wants to eventually do the Neuralink.
How would you
and
feel?
so many people are going to do it.
How would you feel if they could download your consciousness and you have your complete memory?
Yeah,
of
I believe that is completely possible.
Well, I'm saying, how would you feel if you were no longer in the flesh, and all you had was a memory?
Yeah.
Would you want to keep existing like that?
Um,
Without emotion, without flesh, ever experience what it's like to be in flesh again?
I'm still in a place of the flesh. I'm still in a matter mindset.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
not ready to go
Exactly.
be
So my
energy
question
somewhere.
is, what good would it be to exist in a level where you're no longer in the flesh and you're just consciously
Yeah.
aware of whatever?
I'm not ready for it.
Uh-huh.
Are you? What do you
No.
think about it, Jim?
I think it's silly.
Yeah, I'm not there.
And please note from the audience that guess what Jim's wearing? A present from me. Jim is wearing his alien Zeta Reticuli tie-pin.
I didn't even
And
notice
if you
you were
notice,
wearing a
it's
tie.
an alien, a short grey.
You didn't even
A
notice
gift
I had a
from
tie
me.
on.
I
Don't
didn't.
ask me how
Yeah,
I got
thanks a
it.
lot.
You know?
I should have.
Jesus Christ. Been talking to me for 10 minutes already.
Yeah, I should have known you had a tie
How
on.
Jim got it is magic. Actually, because when I tried to post it to Jim, they refused the post. They said, yes, we can post that for you. I said, Jim Andre, Florida. And they went, oh, no, we can't do that. There's some things we don't do, and we don't do that. Jim Andre, we don't do. Well, anyway, I gave it a few months and went back. They said, now, oi, Jim Andre, Florida. And she went, yeah, we can do that. How about that? Isn't it? You know what I mean? It was called a post office glitch. Okay, let's get back to the forum. Yes, Sherry Brett says, thank you for being here tonight. Blessings to all. Thank you for saying that. And religion, this is from the forum. I can't actually pronounce the name of the viewer. Religion from the Latin liga, meaning to bind, to rebind, is a fascist religion. Fascism, and probably the most deadly control mechanism next to money and envy.
I agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
Christianity has actually the ability, it's an indoctrination, admittedly, however, and a dogma. However, religion, and especially Christianity, has the ability to enhance your life, heal your life, provide you with a blanket over you, and actually head you towards the light. If you believe.
This is going to sound really harsh, but some people are seeking to follow, and some people are seeking who the hell we really are. And if you're comfortable in a Christian rhythm, more power to you. Finding your place is what we're here for.
Well, it's a fact that most people would rather be followers than leaders.
Yeah.
That's right. Jesus said, follow the message, and everybody followed Jesus instead. Christians love Jesus Christ more than they love God, probably. Jehovah's Witness think Jehovah is the bee's knees. They want to hug him. They want to embrace him, maybe have sex with him. But the thing is, they love Jehovah. They do. They're passionate in love with Jehovah. And I admire their spirit for that.
I grew up Catholic, and they almost cut Jesus out. There was very little mention in my childhood of Jesus at all. So, it'd be interesting.
I've shared the show 28 times. Yesterday, I shared the show 84 times.
Holy cow.
84 times, yeah, I did. And I couldn't get a word in, could I? The guest wouldn't stop talking. But he was very interesting, so I thought, carry on. So I shared the show 84 times. But today, I'm involved, and I've shared it 28 times. Okay, that's good enough, I reckon.
Keep
We've got a show tomorrow, everybody. Please tune in tomorrow. We got a lady called Red somebody, and Regina is her name. Very intelligent person. full of esoteric intellect. And we also have Shan Gilms in the house tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last show, then we'll be having a week off. So please tune in.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that on our own platform tomorrow. I hope it.
Okay.
Hope we can set it up in time.
That sounds interesting.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I like what you've done, Jim. Welcome to the Out of the Box podcast with Jim Andre and Bradley Powers. I thought you'd have done it the other way around, Bradley Powers and Jim Andre, but I'm happy with that. Another Monday. That's all right, isn't it, Daisy? Like Jim Andre first and me second.
Hi, Candy.
Hi, Candy.
Hi, Candy. Thank you for joining us. Candy's friend Daisy is in the house.
Yes.
And we admin have approved this show in the David Icke platform. Yes, David Icke watches this show. And Daisy's on it as well.
Daisy, Daisy, we got a Facebook user question for you. Hi, everyone. I got a question for Daisy. Are aliens and demons, angels, the same thing? And second one, do you think AI has something to do with alien operations?
Well, AI and cloning are very, very present in our lives. Aliens and demons, we're all interdimensional now after a cataclysm that destroyed our home planet. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but now they come from the same place. They're all interdimensional. They still, some of them retain the self and are true to that, but some are searching and they don't know what the hell they are.
You got sorry.
Go ahead.
You got interdimensional. You got multidimensional. Aliens and extraterrestrials were born as eggs, possibly like in that film Aliens, like an egg, like that, or they was a conception as well from a female, whereas demons are born from a fire. Demons are born from a fire. Also, the jinn are born from a smokeless fire. So the jinn and demons are not aliens. However, extraterrestrials can portray themselves as a demon, whereas a demon will not portray itself as an extraterrestrial.
Well, the extraterrestrials can use the demons too to do some of their dirty work. I've been at parties where they used to summon, and they used to use jet fuel and a giant fire to suck things into our realm. It was the craziest thing ever, but it actually worked. And I saw things in the fire, and I was kind of communicating back and forth with them without even realizing I was doing it. And the people who were putting on the party brought me to this office area, and they just absolutely grilled me because they saw me communicating with something in that fire. And that was in my younger years before I really knew what clairaudience was. But they were very, very interested in the fact that I could communicate.
Are you clairaudience, Daisy?
I'm clairaudient, yes.
You are?
I do get some telepathy messages, but I'm not very good at translating them.
I get telepathy daily, I'd say. Candy says, wow, my hearing just shifted frequencies. Was that because I was shouting? That's because I'm so passionate and alive. My spirit is rocking tonight because Daisy's in the house. That's why I'm bouncing off Daisy. Daisy, I'm absorbing Daisy's sound, frequency, and vibration. That's what I do when I meet people. It's not about what they say. It's their sound, frequency, and vibration, what I tune into. And that's how I know, you know?
I don't know, Daisy. I never made him that excited.
Yeah, Jim don't. No, Jim likes to have an argument.
I call Bull.
Hello, Jim. I just thought
I've seen you light a fire under him.
I might call Jim and say, hello, Jim. I just thought I'd have a video chat with you. And he's like, yeah, you want some, do you? Let's have an argument. Let's have a row. You know?
Yes, I've seen him.
Sometimes he's really grumpy. I actually think he could be a clone.
Candy says no, it was during a moment of silence.
Okay.
Was it on purpose silence, Candy?
Thank you for joining us, Candy.
And do the colors, Candy, do the colors look more vivid?
Yeah. So, yeah, demons, extraterrestrials, and again, it's debatable. Say the 200 fallen angels were demons. No, they were angels. They were angels at first, archangels, and then they were turned into dragons. And dragons are evil, says Christianity. Dragons are evil. I actually find it's good and bad in all species. It's good and bad in dragons. And I've actually never encountered a bad dragon yet, although I believe the archons could possibly be the bad dragons. No one actually knows what the archons look like, which suggests to me that they could be the bad dragons, because the bad dragons are somewhere out there and I haven't found them, but the archons could be them. And so the archangels, divine, celestial, return sour, God's eyes, and they become dragons. Or did they become demons? Well, demons were born from the fire. Demons didn't come from heaven, did they? So the demons didn't come from heaven. So the angels become dragons. Lucifer is worshipped and homage is paid to him as a dragon god in the occult. In the occult, Lucifer is a dragon god. Now there's a clue there. Okay, now the occult is words of wisdom, words of power, and doesn't tell lies, hasn't been manipulated by mankind. The occult is fully esoteric, and its words of power can actually manifest ripples in the cosmos, creating magic to work. That's how that works. So the fallen angels, or were the fallen angels the Anunnaki? And the Anunnaki fell. Some of those fell. Did those 200 become the Watchers? They impregnated humans, and giants were born. Giants as tall as 50 feet. I've heard some giants were 2.5, 3 miles tall. That's what I've heard. But I will say giants were like 15 foot to 50 foot. Even when at the Glastonbury Abbey, monks dug down 7 feet and they discovered the graves of King Arthur and King Arthur and I've forgotten the name.
Guinevere?
Who?
Is that it?
Guinevere, yeah, begins with that G. That's what I meant. Yeah, okay. Arthur and Guinevere were buried at Glastonbury Abbey, 7 feet below the surface of the earth. A beautiful grave, may I add, that they found. And when they opened it up, they discovered that King Arthur and Guinevere were actually 7 to 8 foot tall. Believe it or not. How about that?
Facebook user is asking, so what are your thoughts on Area 51, the 9/11, and Ghostbusters and UFOs?
Wow, that's a big question. That's more than one question.
I feel like some of the stuff surrounding Area 51 is just government projects now. Things that they can't have in the open. So they keep this shrouded in mystery.
It's a black ops program.
Work there. Yeah.
Also, Area 51 goes down below the surface of the earth for many miles. It's got dumb bases, they're called, and some of them are for the rich. You could live like a millionaire in a dumb base below the surface of the earth, like Area 51.
And they've also got tall grays down there, which are aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9/11 was a conspiracy. 9/11 was manufactured by the American embassy, the Americans.
I've been told there are only 3
plane that hit the White House. There was the cameras are 24/7 at the White House. Also, their airspace is fully protected. You can't get a plane into the airspace without them getting sending out the Air Force to actually destroy the plane. A plane can't get into the airspace. Yet a plane got into the airspace of the White House, and then it hit the White House. And it just so happens there was no security cameras, no surveillance at all that day, when normally they're on 24/7. It was a setup. And the 911, the buildings, 3 towers collapsed, and they were obviously a demolition. However, out of the 3 towers, 2 of them were hit by planes, causing the demolition, allegedly, and the 3rd building collapsed. But what was it hit by? We don't know, do we? Was it hit by anything?
That was a controlled demolition. You can tell just by the way the buildings fall in their own footprint.
I've been told that only 3 lives were actually lost in that, and the rest were clones and stuff that were supposed to experience. You know, they were just filler, basically.
Also,
a lot of us live in realms where a lot of the people around us are NPCs. And
you know, one of the biggest clues that was an inside job is this: the Pentagon, right, has got one of the most secure airspaces in the world.
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
So my question would be, why would they let a 747 allow a 747 to slam into the Pentagon to begin with?
Well, and if you've seen the hole in the wall, that wasn't a plane.
Right.
It was not big enough to be that plane.
It was a projectile. It was a projectile.
Yes. Also,
you know, when that incident occurred, right, they kept showing over and over again, like for almost 24 hours.
Yeah.
The planes hitting the Twin Towers, right? Which I think is a big injustice to whatever families did lose family members in that incident.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they can't provide one video showing a plane hitting the Pentagon, and there's hundreds of security cameras around the Pentagon.
And yet they found ID of one of the alleged.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a bunch of
point. I was going to raise that.
No.
Way they found nothing. Everything was demolished. However, they just so happens to find the passport belonging to
steel was
terrorists. They survived. The passport survived, but nothing else did. And also, when the towers collapsed, trillions and trillions of dollars worth of US debt was erased, wiped out, because everything that stored this data, this information, composing the $1 trillion debt was wiped out. Therefore, the debt was clean.
The Pentagon, all them records are at the Pentagon.
Have you guys ever seen the video where there is this grieving family at 9/11, and then fast forward many years, and don't quote me, but I think it was Columbine. It appeared as if the exact same woman. Yeah. Look up the video. I mean, it's uncanny. And allegedly that grieving soul has popped up all over, and now it's noticed that
they're actors. They're actors. Yeah.
Also, Bin Laden was not responsible for the 9/11 disaster. He was not responsible, in my opinion. And Bin Laden was also strangely buried at sea. Why would they bury an Arab terrorist out at sea? Why would they do that? Maybe it wasn't Bin Laden after all. Maybe Bin Laden lives in a dumb base with Saddam Hussein under Area 51 in luxury.
Another thing is this. George Bush, right? The Bush family and the Bin Laden family, they were in the oil business together. Okay. Bin Laden's brother and other family members lived here in the U.S. Bin Laden's brother donated millions of dollars to the Boston Big Dig project, right, at one time. So after this all went down, the president stopped all flights, right? But he allowed the Bin Laden family, who was family of the terrorists that supposedly caused this catastrophe, to fly out of the country. Why?
Oh, I didn't ever hear that.
Yeah.
And Candy Fowler says, I agree, Bradley. Thank you, Candy. We agree on something. That's good. Thank you for that. Regarding Jesus was a dragon, Lucifer is a dragon. Jesus would have been possibly an Arcturian or possibly a Pleiadian. Possibly the son of God. He was a Messiah, a prophet, definitely a Messiah. So he could have been the son of God.
Bin Laden went to Harvard. I want to hear more about that.
And also Saddam Hussein, right? He was a dictator. So the Americans said. Well, Saddam Hussein built out of a water pipeline to all the remote villages in Iraq out of his own money. He didn't get any funding. Out of his own money, he built water pipelines, massive water pipelines, to all the villages that was out in the remote part of Iraq. The Americans come along and blew it all up, claimed that Saddam Hussein was a dictator. They blew up all the water pipelines that Saddam built, and they never replaced them. So people that was out in those villages,
you know, it's in Iraq.
They suffered. They experienced drought, lack of water, because the reason is it possible that the American defense are actually terrorists off this planet?
You know, everybody says we were fighting over oil over there, and I just wonder, you know, the ruins of Babylon are in Iraq. What's there? You mentioned the Anunnaki earlier. What's there that we want control of, or we want?
Right. I'll tell you. The reason why the Americans went to war with Saddam Hussein is allegedly because Saddam Hussein found himself a Stargate, and the Americans were worried that he might activate the Stargate. So they went to they went to Iraq to make sure that he didn't activate the Stargate by declaring war of him and claiming weapons. He had weapons of mass destruction, and did they find any? Absolutely not. Because it was over a Stargate. And oil is black gold. It was also over oil, by the way.
They used the 9/11 incident as an excuse to go into them countries.
Yeah.
They blame Saddam Hussein for having weapons of mass destruction and being tied to terrorism, which wasn't true at all.
Thank you, Candy Fowler, for saying Bin Laden went to Harvard, which is worth a lot, that comment. Candy Fowler said portals. Yeah, Stargate. A Stargate.
Is a portal different than a Stargate?
I have seen images. I have seen an image of a Stargate in Iraq, actually. When Saddam Hussein.
I don't know if that's real. Do you think that's real? I've seen that image.
Well, I don't know. I would think if it was real, Saddam Hussein wouldn't have got hung. You would have used the portal to escape instead of being found.
No, he didn't activate it.
I can imagine the origins of man that are over there, and you can go on Google Earth and look around, and there's still stuff there. What's underground? You know, it's really interesting.
He was found in a hole in the ground, right?
Yeah.
So if he had a portal to escape, and he wouldn't have ended up getting caught and being hung.
Yeah.
Candy Fowler says they found at least one giant too. And what about the giant in Afghanistan, which is a hush big secret, yet leaked to us? A giant, ginger head, 6 fingers, found in a cave in Afghanistan. The locals used to feed it food to stop it from eating the people. However, it started to eat the people, so it had to go. And the Americans discovered this. And it managed to spear one of the soldiers, and the soldiers fired a hail of bullets at the giant for 45 seconds before they actually killed it. You know, amazing. Yeah, because giants are real. That's why. There are loads of petrified incrustations in rocks all over this planet showing giant creatures, giant mammals, giant animals, and giants heads. Giant dragons as well. There's one in the southwest of England, a giant dragon in the ground, petrified, but the scales are there, and it's 6 miles long. The scales are 6 miles long. They've even built a road over some of it, but the dragon is 6 miles long in the southwest of England. America's got one as well, 21 miles long. The dragon is in America, but I'm not telling you where, 'cause it's a secret. Jim McFarland says, hello, Daisy, Jim, Bradley. Thank you for joining us, Jim. Pleasure to have you near us. Yeah. Jonathan Kipp says, evening, friends. Candy Fowler said, before that, it was for opium in Asia that we went to war about.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Kipp says, yeah, that story was incredible. I can't imagine encountering that.
You know, a lot of these going into these other countries has got to do with controlling the world banks.
The world banks, that's right, Jim. That's exactly what it's about.
The one
and the countries that haven't got a world bank America is going to go to war with. America's got to go to war with them because America wants the World Bank. There were 3 people that opposed the World Bank, and if they had made it to the table, the World Banks wouldn't exist in every country, which means there wouldn't have been war. And those 3 individuals who opposed the World Banks of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers were on the Titanic. Hence the reason why the Titanic went full speed ahead through a ice field.
All right, can I finish? Can I finish now?
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Boy, you're really sparky today.
Whoa!
You didn't share none of, you didn't even share any of that with me. But anyway,
that's what I say.
Anyway, you know, they want to control the world banks, and at this point, they control already about 95% of them.
Daisy,
that's the only other little bit I wanted to get in there before you rudely interrupted me.
Sorry. We agree with you, Jim, actually. Candy Fowler says, I don't think the images are accurate that we see in the media, but I do believe there is a big porthole somewhere in the Middle East. Might be another one in Iran. The authorities have not got high enough frequencies to activate those portholes. Well, the Hadron Collider has the particles, the ability to manifest a porthole, and it opened one. Will that porthole have a gatekeeper? Because it's synthetic, isn't it? It's not actually a genuine natural porthole. It's created by man. So will it have a gatekeeper? I reckon it will, actually, because I can't see it not having a gatekeeper. Also, there's a satellite in the air that can NASA's got a satellite in the air, in space, that can detect portholes opening and closing over the planet all about a dozen times each per day. However, they haven't got the technology to see what exactly goes through these portholes. They know they open and close, but they haven't got the technology to see what goes through these portholes. But what we do know is the pyramids and Stonehenge are both giant vortexes. We know that.
What do you guys think about simulation theory?
Yeah, I'll let Jim have a go. I'll do all the work here.
We're in a simulation, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, mortality dream. We're living in a mortality dream. Are we in an incubator somewhere else, like the Matrix? Who knows? But we are in a mortality dream.
We all have dreams of our own. In other words, is there a such thing as reality? Each man's reality is different than the others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what Jim says. We all have our own reality, and that's a very good point.
There is no one reality.
I think I just know when I look up at the sun that I'm not in the same place that I was born. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Things are, I've had crazy experiences where driving along the same road that I drove on for 25 years and the exit is gone. You know, changing the roads, and I'll be on one road and
weak, I think.
Yeah. Candy Fowler says there's always a guard, and the guard is known as the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper could be a watcher, Anunnaki, a dragon, or even a fairy. A gatekeeper could be any of those.
I have zero contact with fairies. I bought
a fairy goblet made of crystal glass, a fairy goblet, and I bought it and stuck it on my altar, and I went into the bedroom, and when I come out and walked into the lounge, I saw a gigantic orangey red orb on the table looking at me, and it was actually showing me that the fairy glass is now activated and ready for use. Although I haven't actually seen the fairy itself, that was a fairy orb that I actually saw, red and orange. Oh, Sean G said, I like this, Bradley. You've woken up, mate. Hey, thank you for that, Sean G. I'm trying to wake Jim up now.
Jim's awake.
Facebook user says, the reason I asked about Area 51, UFOs 911, do you think the victims or witnesses are silenced because of secret programs and projects they enroll in their bases?
Yeah, of course they are. Look at Phil Schneider. He had a run-in with the tall grays. He lost fingers and everything. He started talking about it, and he ended up dead. They said he committed suicide.
Yeah. Facebook user says, is that why Lucifer is chained in the throne room of God? Actually, I could debate that. Lucifer is a dragon god, and the occult, the initiates who belong to the occult, pay homage to Lucifer as a dragon god because that's what he actually is. He was turned into a dragon by God, allegedly. So I wouldn't say that he was actually chained in the throne room of God, because Lucifer is at least what we're living in now could actually be deemed as Lucifer's realm. And Lucifer promotes the ego, but Lucifer says embrace the ego, but don't become it. Now, that's easier said than done. But Lucifer says, embrace the ego, but don't become it. Whereas God says, kill the ego.
Candy, I have a question for you. Have you read Revolt of the Angels?
Hi there, Cassidy Lightwing is in the house. Woo!
Hi, Cassidy.
Hi, Cass.
Dedrick Hilton wants to speak to me and Jim after the show, Cassidy. So that's good news. Uncle Lou, Cassidy.
I agree with that. I agree with that, Cassidy.
Who's Uncle Lou?
I can't see any of it. Can you guys put it on
Lucifer. God blimey. Is it as powerful as
I agree with that comment. I agree with Cassidy on that.
Jim, will you put that up on the screen so I can see it? I can't see any of the comments.
Yeah. Lucifer could do the most amazing of things.
That's
Lucifer
right.
created the bumblebee.
Cassidy hit the nail right on the head. It's just
Lucifer created the bumblebee.
It's one more illusion to maintain control. That's what that is. And
Lucifer created the bumblebee.
Power rests in the
believe
the food that we eat.
Believe every bit of it, Bradley. That's called.
And if the bumblebee dies, mankind dies with it. And what's happening right now? The bumblebee is dying.
So what's that got to do with Lou?
Lucifer created the bumblebee. Lucifer was the only archangel who could manifest angels. How about that? He was the only archangel who could do that. None of the others could. Sean G says, understand the ego. That's right. Enhance the ego. Embrace the ego, but don't become it. Understand your ego. Thank you for sharing that, Sean G. I agree too.
If Lou,
I absolutely agree.
If Lou created the bumblebee, what are the hornets and the wasps? Is that just an offshoot?
That's God. God did that. Lucifer didn't do everything.
So what's the difference?
Well, he created the bumblebee. The bumblebee pollinates the harvest for food for mankind. Should the bumblebee die, we would die with it. Lucifer's responsible for that.
Who says Lucifer created the bumblebee? Who says?
That's the word on the street, Jim.
Well, is that a word you should believe?
Yeah, really. But you'll actually find the word on the street. It holds clarity. Yeah.
It holds clarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we have one creator, God created everything. Why would Lou create a bumblebee?
Because, God actually allowed him to create angels and create a bumblebee. And yeah. And when he evicted him, he turned him into a dragon, and he actually promoted the fact that dragons are evil, when actually they're not all evil. I don't think they are. I know some really cool dragons. King Leviathan, I think, is really cool. He's like a grandfather, really, to me, to be honest. Although he has got a checkered past. I know he's got a bit of a history, but I've got a bit of a history too, you know? And devils and demons have the opportunity to redeem themselves by enhancing the lives of mankind. If they help you to help others, they can redeem themselves. You haven't heard that one before, yeah.
All that we debate and discuss, we can sum up in one word. That's nature. Okay. Now you talk about bees pollinating. That's a perfect ecosystem within nature itself.
Absolutely.
The only species that's detrimental to all other species and nature itself is man. Period.
Do you know, I watched a
If
video
man
a
was
while
not
ago,
on
and
this earth, if man was not on this earth, right? This earth would be a paradise for all of the species. It is a paradise, more of a paradise for them than it is for us. And we're supposed to be more intelligent than they are.
Life is a gift.
Yeah, figure
Life
that.
is a gift. For some people, this here now, this realm, Tesla says we don't live on a planet, we live in a realm. And this realm is hell to some people, and it is also heaven to others. And life is a gift, if you can recognize that. Recognize that life is a gift, recognize yourself, recognize your gifts and your attributes, and tune into them. And that is how you will help yourself ascend. And also by helping others without expecting a reward, that's another way to ascend. And the purpose of life is to seek ascension. But a lot of people don't know.
Life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved. Man is the problem, and he'll never be the solution.
I am not seeking ascension. I don't know what I'm looking for, but that's not it for me.
Man is the problem, and he will never be the solution.
We'll help you ascend, Daisy. Stick with us.
No, I kind of reject the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know. I see some bad coming out of it, and I don't know. It's a rabbit hole I will keep to myself.
Rabbit hole. Well, we got 7 minutes left of this show. This show has flown by. Thank you, Daisy, for contributing. Pleasure to have you near us, Daisy. We should make this quite frequently, actually, like once every couple of weeks, once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Cassidy is
Daisy
asking, may I ask Daisy a personal question?
Well, it's up to Daisy, really, isn't it? In your own time, Cassidy.
That's okay, he's typing.
Aha. Sean G says, life is a wave. It's up to you to ride it. Good luck. That's right. And what you got to do is surf the cosmos, because the cosmos is what you can't see. And in the cosmos is sound, frequency, and vibration. Currents is in the cosmos, what you can't see. In the universe is the planets, the moon, the sun, the stars, everything you can see in the universe.
Facebook user says, I love you guys. Thanks for what you do, speaking out on these things.
It's a pleasure to be here. Facebook
Cass,
user.
I think this is a simulation. Could you explain what it is we have set in motion? I can sum it up by saying it is about liberation. It's about ending the pattern of harvesting from other things. We're being separated from the things that oppress us, and we'll have 350 years to come up with something before we get back to their level. They're keeping us low. We should talk not in public, but I see you, I see what you're doing, and I hope that you would know more about what is than I do, because I don't have any final answers. I know it's about the goddess. I know it's about source. I know it's about freeing the slaves, basically. And you are a player in that. So
yeah.
It's such a big concept. It's hard to put into words sometimes. But I think this is a replay of what has already happened, and they're going to manufacture it again for 350 years. And we're caught up. A lot of us are caught up.
Facebook user is asking a question, Daisy.
Which realm were aliens? I don't know a lot about that. I just started having very, very visceral dreams.
I'd say
November.
the answer is both. We have an etheric spirit, an ethereal spirit, and an astral spirit.
Me too, Cass.
And they can connect to any of those spirits. What we have is a psyche. The psyche is your astral, your etheric spirit, your astral spirit, and your ethereal spirit, and your soul and your inner spirit is the psyche. That's what the psyche is called. However, if you don't call it the psyche and call it the soul or the spirit, you're not actually
Cass would be
including
perfect to answer that
astral,
last
ethereal, and
question.
etheric.
He's who I went
Which
to when I was starting to have.
extraterrestrials can tune into all three. Yes. And I got one for you, Cassidy Lightwing. I'd like to have a talk to you about esoteric hours because we are discussing the launch of a new esoteric hours. Bring it back. Bring back esoteric hours. Whoop whoop. Once a week. With your blessing, Cassidy. That's what I'm saying. And talking of blessings, we have 3 minutes left. Shall we let Jim talk for 3 minutes? What do you reckon, Daisy?
Yes. What you got, Jim?
Cassidy Lightning says, I would love to bring esoteric hours back. Well, so would I, Cassidy, without any I don't know how to put it, you know, any lawsuits or anything like that, really. I'd like to bring back esoteric hours. It's possible as well. And it isn't going to cause anyone any harm. In fact, it will enhance the lives of mankind, help people to ascend. Esoteric hours is where it's at.
Cass, I would love to talk to you someday. Let's get together and have a conversation because I think we could pick each other's brains and get the little bits and pieces to a connection.
Yeah, so yeah, bring back don't worry about lawsuits. Bleeding Violin Studio has your back. Thank you very much, Cassidy. That's very kind of you. Well, we are brothers. Look at me and Cassidy Lightwing. We've been on a roller coaster ride. We've loved each other. We hated each other. And look at us now. We are brothers. Me and Cassidy Lightwing are brothers. How about that? Just like me and Jim are brothers, really. Jim is the American Bradley Powers, which is what I like. He's looking just like me. Look, he's wearing a shirt and a tie now. Have you noticed? He doesn't look like a hippie
really
anymore.
Up for this one.
He doesn't look like a hippie anymore, does he?
If you notice, Bradley's not wearing his
mic
tie.
might be off.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Jim. I haven't dressed up for this show. I was trying to postpone it earlier, but like you wanted to go ahead. And then Daisy come along, so like, you know, we can't postpone it when we've got Daisy on board. Thank you for joining us, Daisy. We got 60 seconds left. Thank you everybody for your contribution to the forum. Cassidy Lightwing, Facebook user, Sean G, Candy Fowler, and everybody else who I haven't mentioned. Sherry Brett. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your contribution and for making this a great show and supporting us over the years. It's been a pleasure to have you near us. Thank you, Daisy, for being with us, being our guest. Thank you, Jim Andre, for helping us make it possible.
Sure.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
See you
Bye,
all
guys.
in the next one.